Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wherever you are in the world today, I hope that you are doing great. Hope that all is pleasant for you. And most importantly, my friends, I hope that you are in good health. Once again, welcome to the Common Sense channel. On this channel, my friends, we get to talk about those things that people know, that people have thought about, but don't often have the time to discuss. These, my friends, are the things we discuss here on the Common Sense channel. So once again, welcome to the Common Sense channel. Today, I want to talk to you about the video I did the last time on the rise of MAGA and the rise of the leftist or leftism, aka progressivism. The reason why I will continue to tie progressivism to leftism is because they're the same. And for today's video, we're going to look at the genesis of both of these ideology, or I can say movement, and I can see a reason why leftism is not more of a political party, but then more of a movement. But it is a party because it's embedded within the Democrat Party. And I'm saying that leftism, aka progressivism, should extract itself from the Democrat Party and become a standalone party on its own in order for it to collaborate or form a coalition with the MAGA movement. The MAGA is not a political party. But how do political parties start? They start as the result of a movement. You understand? So today's video, again, I'm going to do this always. I'm going to keep doing this video because not so much of the views that I'm getting, but there's a reason why I'm doing this. And the reason is simple. Whenever there are problems, some people see this as a surmountable hill or to climb. I don't see it as that. I don't see the idea that I suggested or the suggestion that I put forth in both of those videos. I don't think or see these suggestions as a surmountable task or a surmountable measure or initiative that this country cannot accomplish. I don't see it as that. And the reasons are because I don't think we're not as divided as they want us to think. You understand? When I say they, the people that have been running this country forever, I mean from the maybe the early 20s all the way to now. And you will see when I start to do this, when I start to go into depth with what I'm talking about in this video, you'll start to see that we're not as divided as they want us to think of ourselves. And whenever I come on my channel, from going forward, I will be focusing on those things that unite us more than those that divide us. Because I don't want to see division. In as much as I know exists, I don't want to still see it. And I think that's how we should see ourselves, and that's how we should see this country. I think in numerous videos that I've done, I made a statement in some of my videos where I said, The moment we start to see ourselves as American, that's when we will be able to defeat all of the people, all of the instruments that are used out there to divide this country. When I did those two videos, the one on the death of conservatism and liberalism, I had people send me their comments. Some of them it was great comment, and some of them were the opposite. All of those comments are true. All of them are representation of what the country has become. But that's not the views of all of America. Yes, and I believe that. And if it wasn't true, Obama, Hope, would have never capitalized on that, because he saw it. He saw the division, and he also saw the unity. You understand? He saw that maybe 85% of Americans are united. The only reason why they feel divided is because of politics and organized religion. Organized religion is very powerful, and because of the role organized religion has played in our society, is the reason why we feel more divided. If we're not divided on the aspect of religion, we're divided on the aspect of politics. So if you are like an observer sitting on the sideline, and you're almost like you're spectators or a spectator, and you're watching a football game, and you're watching to see who is using the best technique and who is not using the best technique, or who understand the game more than the others, you can almost see who is deceiving who. And that's what's happened to individuals who are independent. And I think independent people are incredible human beings. I mean, I want to know. I already know, but I just want to be able to explain it, but it's hard to explain how people can resort to becoming an independent. It's so fascinating, but interesting, because I can see why someone would decide to be an independent, because they can see the charade. They can see all the deception and the misguiding information, and who is trying to play who is trying to gain who's trying to get upper hand, who's using deception to get a vote, who's using a religion to gain a vote, who is using trickeries to stay in power. They can see all of these things. And then they said to themselves, it can't be me, not me, maybe the others. My thing is, I wish more and more independents can step in to help the others, Americans, who has not seen what is happening to this country. But I think the best way, another best way, and I think that's what we ought to start to do before. And I think we should start now, because this year is a primary year. So I think we should start now to teach one, teach all. Educate one, educate all. That should be our motto. That should be our motto going forward, to help each other understand that we are American first, before we are Democrat, before we are Republican, before we are anything else. And once you start to see yourself that way, you start to understand the trickeries behind politics. You will not be misled like we were misled by Mr. Trump. You understand? Especially those who were against war, all the people that are against war, that including me, you understand? We're all misled and fooled by Mr. Trump. And I don't think that will ever happen again. I don't think American will be that naive to ever accept anyone again like Trump to mislead us. Look at what he's doing now. You understand? When he should be focusing on things that are more relevant to the American people, to our lives. Instead, look at what's happening. You know, you cannot wake up in the morning without hearing war somewhere, or there's a war with Iran, there's war here, there's war there. You know, this man told the American people that he was going to end the war in Ukraine in 3 days' time. You understand? I didn't believe that. But there are many others that believe that. But yeah, look at where it's at today in Ukraine. So it's an eye-opener for a lot of people. And I think it's best that we start to teach one, teach all. It's a great thing to do. So now, once we start to educate each other, we'll not be misled. So the best we can do, before I go into this video, what I want to say into this video, because this video I'm going to be talking about the genesis or the inception of leftism in this country, aka progressivism, and the inception of MAGA. That's what I'm going to talk about. So you can start to see how, and it's a movement, it's not a political party. A movement is fluid, so there could be adjustment. So when I did that video, I say, in the video I talk about how I think MAGA and leftism, or leftist, aka progressive, should come together to form a coalition. I got comment from people saying that would not happen. But in life, nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. Whatever you think is impossible, it's not impossible. It may be impossible in your eyes, but in the eyes of reality, it's not impossible. So we're going to talk about the inception, the early inception of MAGA and the early inception of a leftism, or American progressive leftist. Because when I go into that, you understand there are two forms of leftism. We're talking about the American leftism, and that's what we're going to talk about. We're not going to infuse anything into it, because we live here in America, so we talk about America progressivism / leftism. So yeah, so my thing is, we ought to see ourselves as American. Forget about all this division. We're not that divided. We're not that divided. But they want you to believe that, because that illusion, right, allows them to continue to stay in office. So every election time they come, they tell you, you're Republican, you're conservative, you're liberal, you're Democrat, you're Democrat, you're liberal. So you ought to think this way. This is what this other party is doing. So we have to counteract this. Meanwhile, whatever you're doing for them, you're not getting nothing in return. And what you're getting in return is the same old thing. So my argument in this video, and will continue to do, is to tell you, you've been played. You are being played. Now, my thing is, if you're in a relationship and your boyfriend, your girlfriend, or your significant others, or whatever that relationship is, if that person continue to play you every time with another woman or with something else, how would you feel? Would you continue to stay in that relationship and be played? Or would you put an end to it? Or would you put your foot down, as the old people say? Or would you change your direction? Or would you change your mindset? So for the sake of this video, we're talking about mindset. And your mindset is what we're going to be working on. I'm going to be talking about this because not so much of anything, but because we have to change the direction. We have to change the narrative. The narrative is what we have to take control over. And the best way to control the narrative is to take charge of it. You understand? And say, now my doors are open. My doors are closed. It's not that it's close to you, but it's open to you, or it's open to anyone who is willing to listen, and it's closed to anyone who is not willing to listen. You understand? So whatever idea I may have put out concerning the coalition of leftism, aka progressivism, and MAGA, if that suggestion or those suggestions that I made does not happen, there will be another movement, because these two are just movement. But all political party or all political structure begins by initiation of movements in any society. And most people don't know. Most of the world mirrors America. So whatever changes that happens here may happen elsewhere, or may be influenced, or others in other countries might be influenced by the movement, the changes that are occurring in this country. A lot of people don't know this, that the revolution actually started in this country. Whatever you've seen across the globe had once started here in 2020, in 2016. But that movement that was started in 2016 has now become something else. So let's talk about the early life of progressivism, aka leftism. Most people don't know, and I think some know, that the 16, 17, 18, and 19 amendments were all created during the progressive era. They are all progressive initiatives, reform programs. Why is that? Because progressivism, aka leftism, I will always say it that way because I'm trying to make leftist look good. I am gonna be doing this for leftist because I'm talking about American leftist. I want to make this point because when you hear of American leftists, these are good individuals. Without the American leftist, aka progressive, right? You would have never gotten the 16, 17, 18, and 19 Amendment. These were all social, if you read them, they are all social reform. You understand? Some are political. For example, the 16th Amendment deals with reform. What kind of reform does it deal with? You understand? 16th Amendment. In 1913, just in 1913 alone, the Federal Reserve was established in 1913. In 1913, the Trade Commission was also established in that same year. And also, not only that, the federal income tax was also established And why was it established, the federal income tax? When it was first established, it wasn't even established for poor people. Most of the taxes, my friends, went to wealthy individuals. They were meant for wealthy people who were wealthy, not for poor people. These were all social reforms established by progressivism, aka leftism, my friends. Today, no one talks of them because they don't know how to promote what they've done and how far they've brought this country. They went on to establish many other social reform and social act. The Antitrust Act, all these were established by the progressive in this country, aka leftism or leftist. You understand? So that's how they some of the reforms, some of the change. My thing is, why aren't they talking about these things? Why are they not promoting these things to establish? Because they have been so entangled with liberalism. Liberalism is not good. Liberalism has promised so much that they haven't been able to fulfill. The grandfather of liberalism, modern day grandfather, is Lyndon B. Johnson. Lyndon Baines Johnson, that's his name, B. Johnson. He's the father of modern day liberalism. All of the social reform he called the Great Society that he established, what did it do? In fact, it ruined society. You ask most historians, they'll tell you. It ruined society. But when progressivism, aka leftism, when they established some of these social reform in the 19th century, into the 20th century, those programs were real, they were tangible, because they were legislated. They were legislated in a way that the action actually touched lives. They were tangible reforms. And that's what I want them to talk about. So let's look at the early history of progressivism, aka leftism. There is a lady in American history, her name is Jane Addams. Most people say, and I believe, that she is the mother of social work and the community housing. She started programs, right, where I forgot to talk about the reform that had to do with, I think it was the 19th Amendment that gave women the right what did it do? Okay, let me see. It actually granted women suffrage. It's called women's suffrage. And also the right to participate in the democratic process. What does that mean? The right to vote. You understand? The right to voice their opinion. Some in our society think it was a bad thing, but even women who are in MAGA would agree. It's all the reason why those women in MAGA are even standing up today and voicing their opinion as they are doing is because of progressivism, aka leftism policies, reforms, that today women are able to do that, including those in MAGA. And that's what upset me the most. Why are these leftists not standing out there and promoting the early beginning? They've done so much for this country. And that's the reason why I say America is actually a progressive country. Why am I saying this? Because imagine whenever there are natural disasters You understand? I'm going to talk about the 17th Amendment, if you don't mind, because this is very important so you know. Because the early progressive or progressivism, aka leftist, the early leftist, they saw something in the 17th Amendment. But let me make this point real quick. Why I think America is a progressive country to begin with. It will be, America will always be a progressive country, minus conservatism, liberalism, and all of these everywhere. America is a progressive country. When there are natural disasters in this country, you will notice before the government even make a move. I'm going to talk about Jane Addams. I'm not going to forget her. Before the government even take a step, who do you think do most of the movement? It's the American people. They would pitch together $5, $10, $15, whatever they can put together, and send that money to aid whatever state is that disaster has befallen upon, or whatever state is undergoing that natural disasters or disaster. Only Americans does that. There are other countries in the world I know that would do that, but Americans are the only one that don't wait for the government to do something, to help a friend, to help a brother, to help a state, to help each other. That's why I think we're not as divided as they want us to think. And we can break through this. And I will continue to talk about the goodness of progressivism, aka leftism, always on my channel, because I want them to come out. I want them to take a stand to bring this country back to how because their work can be seen in this country. Okay, so let's talk about Jane Addams. Jane Addams was not somebody that just spoke. She had the American spirit in her. So she's a social worker, like millions of social workers in this country. They don't just talk. These are good individuals. Their hearts are good. They don't even get paid like other people. But I think that's why to be a social worker, it takes a special kind of human beings. I'm telling you. That's the spirit of Jane Addams. That's what these people has in them. And they are in every community that in this country. The same spirit that Jane Addams had. So she went in these communities and she settled community housing in there. Why did she do that? Because she was trying to study poverty. She was trying to study. She was talking about immigrants that were living a deplorable living condition, including black people too, black American. A terrible time. She went into the various communities to study the people, to understand their needs, their plight. She employed college students that live in this community with these people, try to understand their language, their way of life, everything. And she was able to take this information and manifested them into legislation, advocacy to the government, they will call it lobbying, to come up with some of these reforms that we're enjoying today. So my thing is, you have to capitalize on your work. And if you don't know, America is a progressive country anyway. I already told you what it is. It's the only country where somebody who lives in a community that has money will take his money and donate to the library, the local library. That individual doesn't even care who's going there. The person that donate the money wouldn't say, oh, it's just for my kids or it's just for my race or people. They'll donate that money just so everybody can have access to that library and use and utilize whatever is there. How many countries does that? They're not saying, oh, let the government take care of that. They'll do it. And that's why I think America is a progressive. So, leftist, I'm talking to you. You need to come out. I'm going to keep calling you out until you do it. Because you hold the keys. We need to take this country back to what it was. Because when you were in power, when you were running this country, when you came out, all of those amendments, America was not even formed yet. So let's talk about the 17th Amendment. The 17th Amendment, if you don't know, the state legislature before the 17th Amendment had so much power in how the federal government ran. You understand? The federal government was weak. Not too weak, but it wasn't that strong. The state actually had more power. The state legislature could run things however they want to run it. You understand? So it was the 17th Amendment that allowed the state now to appoint or elect a senator. Had it not been for the progressive thinking, aka leftism or leftist leaning, we wouldn't have the 17th Amendment. So you ought to be proud, leftist, of some of your achievement by some of these people. Then we can talk about the progressive era with FDR and what he done, you know. There's never going to be that time, because you look at Lyndon B. Johnson, that was a total mess he did, you know. Even with the Civil Rights Act he came out with, it's okay. I know I can't say anything about that because there are just so many people, black people, ancestors that laid their lives during the Civil Rights Movement and in the years leading to the Civil Rights Movement that was murdered for no reason, including Martin Luther King. May his soul rest in peace. Medgar Evers and all these great people, Malcolm X, all these great people that came before that 1964 Civil Rights Act. I don't think someone has to die for anything for you to pass a legislation to do the right thing. So that was not even progressive. The 1964 Civil Rights Act was not progressive or reform. Those were liberals. Understand? All of the reforms that progressivism or progressive had embarked on today, we are yielding the dividends from them. So I think America should go back to being a progressive country again. That's what I think. And I think that's where it's heading. Even if it's become a leftist, I'd rather it become a leftist, aka progressive country, than being anything else, because leftists are good people. So are MAGA. MAGA are good people too. They are progressive too. Just like progressivism itself. So let's talk about the early beginning of MAGA. I think maybe sometime in the future, I don't want to come up with a funny looking name for MAGA, but I just hope that someday they figure out a name, something to call them. So it don't have to be any ism or theism. No, it can just be simple. They can just find something. But it's not a party. It's a movement. Just like leftism, aka progressivism, it's a movement. And it's a powerful movement. So anyone that reading through my videos and saying, oh, what are you saying? It's dangerous that. We're not talking about European leftism here. We're strictly talking about American leftism, right? American leftism is progressivism. European leftism is a totally different ballgame. It has communism in it. It has fascism in it. Understand? And it have a whole host of other things in them. That's not what I'm talking about here. So when you hear me say leftism, I'm talking about American progressivism. I think I did clarify that in my video, but I want to clarify it more so in this video so you start to understand, because I'm going to be talking about this a lot. And the reason is because I want this country to go back to doing what the American people want. I want the country to go back to what it used to be when both parties used to work together to get things done. Yeah, it's not about your party. It's not even about you. It's not about your ideology. I can entertain because we're all humans are ideological. As long you can think, you're ideological. And I encourage people thinking, because look, you cannot solve no problem in any aspect of the human existence without thinking and asking questions. But the only thing I don't like is political party affiliation. You understand? But we all should think, and our thinking should be guided towards our nationality, towards helping improve the people that are formed within that nationality. If your thinking are not geared towards that, then in my own view, it's not necessary in the grand scheme of things. Because at the end of the day, you are gonna leave this world. Your nationalism or a national value, which is Americanism, that will always be here. What am I saying? The country is always gonna be here, but you will not. So the country is more valuable than you. You know? So your contribution is as good as if it's benefiting the country. Your ideology is as good as if the country is developed, if the country is growing, if the country is better. Anything outside of that, in my view, is divisive. It's not necessary. And that, my friend, is political affiliation and party. It should be America first. It should be the United States before any political party. So let's talk about MAGA. A lot of people don't know the most important or the most essential individual of the 20th century is Ronald Reagan. A lot of Americans who grew up during his time, during the early 50s, 60s, 70s, when he came out and started to talk about some of the things he believed. I talk about another individual as Barry Goldwater, but Ronald Reagan is the champion. A lot of people will tell you that maybe in the conservative Republican, aka Republican Party, would tell you that Ronald Reagan is very, very essential to the Republican Party. He is the father of MAGA. Yes. Most of his doctrine, right, which would be, like in the previous video I told you, would be limited government, free market, and they call it traditional value. I say family values. Understand? That's what the new Republican calling our family value. But Ronald Reagan called it traditional values. You understand? So the MAGA folks you see today, those are actually following the teachings or the ideology of the ancestor, Ronald Reagan. You understand? Ronald Reagan is actually the father of MAGA. You understand? So his value, or what they're trying to bring back to this country, America first. Now, who wouldn't want that? You know, who wouldn't want that? For instance, if someone attacked this country, right? I live here. If someone attack America, what do you think I would do? Do you think I'm gonna sit there and say, okay, yes. Meanwhile, I have children in this country. I have assets in this country. Do you think I'm gonna sit and say, okay, yeah, come on? You see? So the country, if the country is doing well, it benefits everyone. If someone attacks the country, you know it's time to fight. It's time to fight back. That's what it means to be an American. It's not something someone needs to tell you. It's just common sense. You understand that if someone attacks your house, you're going to fight back. Because you want your house to look beautiful. You've already invested all of your time, your effort, everything, your money, your wealth, your energy, everything in your house, and someone try to destroy it. What would you do? You fight back. You understand? So it's a natural thing. So America first is a great thing. In previous video, I told you that MAGA and leftist, aka progressivism, it's the same. They share the same value. They don't believe in that. In fact, they don't like established. They don't like what they call it, establishment. They don't like the establishment of both of the party. I won't even say progressivism, because progressive, they are just in the Democrat Party. You know, the ones that understand themselves, they just separate themselves. They either stand on the side as independent, like Bernie Sanders. Some of them, they either be a Democrat, but they have like the leftist values. But sometimes they kind of sway, because sometimes it's almost feel like liberalism is, you can kind of merge liberal values with a leftist value if you want to, if you're a smart politician. And I think that's what the leftist has been doing for the past 30 to 40, 50 years now. They've been hiding under liberal values instead of promoting their own values. And their own values is rich in the American foundation. When I say they, I'm talking about leftist, progressive. Progressive values are rich in the American foundation. In fact, progressivism is America. And I actually want these people to know this. Teach it to the next generation of politicians, like children, 25, 30. Show them. If you watch this video, go back and look at the early beginnings of progressivism in this country. And then you will see yourself in it if you're leftist. And I just wanted to go back to that. It's a movement. But that movement can start to move towards becoming a political party exclusive from the Democrat Party. Because the Democrat Party is gone. Yeah, it's gone. I can see they are trying to capitalize on some of the things that Trump is doing. You know, they're putting out all these videos out there. Oh, Trump is bad man. Trump is evil. Trump is this. They don't know Trump is rewriting American immigration policy. Did you know? Have you seen? Are you paying attention? That Trump is actually rewriting what would become the new immigration reform in this country. Mass deportation is a form of immigration reform, except it's not legislated yet. You understand? It's an immigration reform. It's not just a law, but it could be a law if it's reform, if it's legislated, or if it's given a chance to be legislated. Yes, mass deportation is a form of immigration reform. And that's what it's doing. And these Democrats, let me tell you, they know that this is election time, or election season. This year is a primary time. So they are going around using every little thing he does, they throw it out there. Every little thing he does as far as immigration is concerned, they throw it out there. Say, he bad. Look at all the show they're putting on in the House, all the stupid hearings. They're putting out these poor Somalians boys who have had some brush with ICE. They're putting them on the stand in the stupid House when they can be reforming or trying to legislate laws only them can do on immigration that would limit or cut back some of the things that or if not cut back, but at least restrict or put some framework around some of the things that ICE is doing. Instead, they are putting on these innocent Somalian boys, girls, on the stand to talk about what happened between them and ICE, when they can be legislating like tomorrow, today, real laws that would allow ICE to do their work professionally, and at the same time, legally. But if you're not wise enough, you won't see what they're doing. So they're putting on a show. So to mess with your emotion is psychological, my friends. To mess with your emotion. And because they are good at emotional game. And Donald Trump people, I'm not going to even say they're MAGA. Donald Trump doesn't own MAGA no more. He knows that. He knows. Because MAGA, some of the things he's doing, MAGA are not in favor of that. As far as the economy is concerned, that's MAGA not too happy about that. As far as for the war, that whole thing is doing here and there. It's called peace through strength. Peace through strength. The thing is, peace through strength is not bombing a country or going into another country trying to do war. It's just building up, making sure your military is strong, making sure that just almost like a deterrence. It's not like physically attacking the country. That's not peace through strength. Peace through strength is you build up your army, and it's not even new. This is what the Romans did. The Romans, they were notorious for doing that. They build up the army and they scare you. That's it. They didn't really physically attack you, but if you didn't do what they wanted to do, then they would attack you. But they just built the army real strong that you wouldn't dare attack them. That's what it means, peace through strength. But when Trump was talking, that's not what he was trying to say. So I don't want to drift from my video because I want to focus on leftism and MAGA. Leftism again and MAGA. Leftism, aka progressivism. American leftism, aka progressivism, right? Has a rich history. They've done so much for this country. When they were running America, there were a lot of change because American leftism, aka progressivism, they do research. They are responsible for most of the research you see on social injustice, civil right work. A lot of the things you see, they're the ones behind that. They care about social justice issues. MAGA do, but not to the extent as leftism or leftist, aka progressivism. You understand? So most of the amendment from the 16, I'm going to say it again, from the 16, 17, 18, and the 19th Amendment were all initiated, were all done as financed and lobbied by the progressive movement in this country. And FDR was a progressive before he even became a president, because the rich people those days, they were not just holding onto their money. When they saw poverty, they give to it. A lot of people don't know. Most of the hospitals in this country, I don't want to say countries, but it could be bunch of countries make up the United States. You understand? Most of the churches in this country, most of the hospitals in this country, my friends, were started by progressive individual leftists. They are good people. But conservatism, who has always wrapped themselves, because they like to say they are more traditional value minded people, wrap themselves around religion to the point where you see them, you think they're pious. They managed to frame these people as the others, as the evil ones, tying European leftism on them. But this channel, we're going to say American leftism. American leftism, people who are on the left are good people. They are good because they want change that you can hold, change that you can see, changes that you can feel. They're not religious, and that's a good thing, because religion don't do a damn thing for you. All it does, it enslaves your mind. It doesn't allow you to think. It allows you to be suicidal when this whole world is right here and it's not going nowhere. Our job as humans, my friends, are to be the best steward we can be for this world. We have to make this place so beautiful, so peaceful, so nice, that when the next generation comes, they'll bless us and say our ancestors left us a good thing. If MAGA, you understand? If MAGA, who has a rich history in the tradition of this country, in the traditional value of this country, as far as family value is concerned, and I would say it, family value is concerned, the policies towards family, as far as family is concerned, you know what I'm talking about. If they can work with leftist, aka progressivism, and make America peaceful, rich, loving, not divisive, because they're not a political party, they're a movement. If they can come together, that's the only requirement. Unite the young people of this country, which most of them are disillusioned. They are everywhere. In there, right now, they are in the middle. They don't even know where to go. Mr. Trump thinks he owns them, but he's going to be surprised in the midterm and in 2028. If this individual can captivate and capture these people minds and are able to sell their progressivism and their rich history of fighting for social injustice, fighting for people's right, fighting for the American worker, fighting for industry to stay in this country, fighting for labor. I think was it doing the I think it was I can't remember doing I think it's the 17th or 18th amendment that um did something that has to do with what was it about, man? I think one of those amendment that focus on labor, to make sure that in industrialist or capitalist are paying worker laborable wage, that you're not just paying them anything, that you're not taking advantage of your worker, that you're getting paid for the work they provide and the services that they're providing. These are all progressive ideas. These are all progressive values, and I believe MAGA can support those values because they share the same values too. They share the same belief, though they differ in certain values and certain beliefs, but they're not that much, as I said in previous video. You understand? So these indifferences can always be worked out some way. Again, nothing is impossible. Anything is possible. As long there's a will, there is a way. You understand? But people have to take back this country. Why is that? If America is peaceful, if America is not on a war track to fight wars all over the world, if America is productive again, if America is rich again in terms of industries, work, high paying, living, once you start to get all these things, the living standard is going to go up. And not only that, we're going to be able to pay most of that debt. You understand? Because it seems to me that every year, that debt keep going up. I've been checking it. I'm also part of the debt too. You understand? So yes, if America is peaceful, if America is loving, united, which I think, even if it doesn't happen in this generation, the children that are coming up will not be that. I can see it. And these schools in this country, a lot of them are doing a great job with that. Making sure they're teaching the children to love each other. To not see, although race is never going to go anywhere, but the remedy for race is when everyone is doing great. When everyone is doing great, what is that? Everyone has a job. Everyone don't have to worry about someone going to fire you tomorrow because there's no work. Or you're going to go to work tomorrow and tell you, that's it, my friend. When people cannot worry about job security, if people are making good money, they can live on the income that they are earning. They don't have to work here, there. They have leisure time. They can travel the world, see places, have time and time with their family. Race is going to be irrelevant. So you see, the reason why we have all of the racial tension and issues happening across this country with immigration, with this, with that, all of these things are sprung out of I can say the MAGA movement came out of that. But the genesis lies within the founding of the conservative ideology by Ronald Reagan. But why are these people more determined now to make sure that they take back their country? And why are they determined now to do something to help the living standard of all Americans? Or why are they determined now to fight to make sure that their jobs, all the jobs stay in this country? Why are they fighting harder now to make sure that the government listen to them? Why are they fighting harder now so that corporation don't take all the jobs out of this country and leave the American people jobless, because of the living standard of the American people. The living standard of the American people are not the same as it was, say, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago. And everyone is feeling the heat. Everyone, including the rich. There's no middle class anymore. There's no upper middle class. There's no affluent. There's the poor and there are the rich. Some say it's 1%. I've been hearing that 1% for maybe the past 15 years now. So I think that number could be 0.999% or 0.8 or 0.000009. So it's not one anymore, if that number makes sense, you see. So let's forget about the 1%. It's no longer 1%. So these are the reasons why I think these two can work together. There are a lot of things that leftists, a lot of good values, a lot of good programs they have worked on in the past, in the early 20s. And I don't think that they should run away from that. Especially, I'm talking about leftists, aka progressive or progressivism. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you. And I know, right? You've been around longer. You're historical leftist, aka progressivism. You're historical. You can bring along those in the MAGA movement, and both of you can work together because you have so much, my friends, in common. There's more that unite you than divide you. And you ought to know that. And you ought to start to work towards that if you want this country back. When Donald Trump leaves office, who do you think is going to go up there? J.D. Vance is not going to be president. J.D. Vance is not ready for that seat. It's not ready for that. It's a huge challenge for him. J.D. Vance is not ready to be president in America. So that vacuum will need to be filled. It's going to be a vacuum. The Democrats don't have no one to run. True. They can't name one person that they have. Hope can't run again. You understand? Hope. Who else? They didn't have no one in 2020. Was it 2021? 2020 when 2020 they didn't have no one. They have no one. Said 2024. 2024. They didn't have no one in 2024. Yes. You see? They didn't have no one in 2021. They didn't have no one in 2022, 2023. They didn't have no one in 2024. So why do you think the Democrat Party is going to have someone in 2028? So this is the time for you to start to make your move. See? Start to make your move now and see how the primary goes. And then you see how 2028 is going to be. But start talking too much, like too much talking. We independent, we're watching y'all. And I just trying to give you some solution. That's what I'm doing here. And I'm going to keep talking about this too. I'm going to keep talking about it on my channel. Every now and then I'll come and talk about it. Talk to you because I want you to get the message. Get the message. So you watch this video, send this to some leftists somewhere. Tell them they're good people. I say they're good people. Tell them that their early beginning is very rich in the history of this country. Tell them that I say America in general is a progressive country. You understand? We love each other. You understand? Don't let these divisive people out there, very divisive out there, All they want to do divide you on one. Their mindset is just thinking one side. They are not thinking as a real person, where you can just see all spectrum of things. And that's what the Creator made you to see life that way. You're not supposed to think one way. You're supposed to think in a broader spectrum, not just one way. No human being think one way. So if someone tells you, if that's the way technology will not advance, we're all going to be driving Toyota instead of a Chevy or Ford. You understand? But we are designed to think in a diverse, vast way. You understand? So yeah, we are not divided as they want us to think, to behave, because they've been controlling your behavior all this time. So we're going to be talking about control too, you know. And that, my friend, is when we regain our power back. Because let me tell you, to free yourself is to debunk all of the things that they once told you as truth or gospel. You understand? First, they tell you there's a God in the sky. So you tell them there's no God but me. You understand? Because not only you saying that, the founding fathers of this country, they did say that. The founding fathers understood that even if there is a God, this was the thought that all of them had. Even if there is a God, right? That God, I say Almighty, that God has nothing to do with the affairs of man. They knew that. And that's why they set on to say, we the people. We the people is the spirit that re-emphasize the notion that there is an Almighty, but we human beings are in charge of the affairs of humanity or human beings. We run our own affairs. No God up there run that affairs but us. You understand? So once you can debunk that notion, it doesn't mean you don't believe there's a higher power. It is. I believe there's a higher power. But I believe that everything the human does is run by human beings. You understand? If they tell you, that the reason why you're poor is because some white person enslaved your great 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 grandpa before, and that's the reason why you're where you are, you tell them it's a lie. The reason why I'm poor today, now, is because of your policies. The policies that you are implementing for all these past years on my behalf. You understand? Tell them that. That's the reason why I am where I am today. Your policies. It's not no white person that caused that. I'm talking about now, but you. Once you can debunk their lies, you, my friend, would have finally emancipated yourself. If they tell you that you're inferior because of your ethnicity, because of your race, because of your color, you tell them to their face, I am not inferior. I don't need affirmative action to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. I don't need affirmative action because I'm a woman. I am as good as anyone else out there. Just give me the opportunity. If you can tell them that, my friends, you have finally emancipated yourself. That's all you need to do. Free yourself from some of the lies that they've told you. The big one with immigration now. If they tell you Donald Trump is the reason why they deported you, or the reason Donald Trump is the first to start to deport immigrants out of this country, Tell them it's a lie. Tell them so the common sense says it's a lie. Previous presidents before Trump did the same thing in recent time. It's just that the media did not cover it. It's just that at that time, social media was not as prevalent as it is today. That's why you didn't know they cover it. You understand? And the opposition party was sleeping too. Because that's what they do. Some of them try to be honest, they wouldn't use that. One guy says, you do not allow no situation to go to waste. Whatever situation is, use it. He's a politician, he said that. So you see how sick that individual is, that will use someone's demise to benefit himself politically. That's what they've been doing to you all these years. So it's time for you to wake up. Go back to progressivism, aka leftism policies that brought so much change and so much reform to the Constitution that today you can feel some of these things. If you're female, you're in MAGA, do your research on progressivism/leftism to understand their views, how rich a value they have contributed to this country. And finally, America, my friends, is a progressive country. Meaning that any of you, whether you are MAGA, whether you are leftist/progressivist, if you see a brother on the street hungry, you'll be the first to feed them. And that's why today you see America is. Even when America was not as rich as it is today, even now you can say, you can put a quotation mark to that. Rich. Even when America was in the early beginning stage, there were still people in this country that would never see someone go to sleep without food and never fed them. Help them out. You understand? Without the government help now. Because most people don't know American government was not established to help take care of social needs. Yeah, it was not established for that. It was established for a different reason. You understand? It was not established. Even the Federal Reserve was also a progressive reform. I mean, you can talk about it in other ways, but yes, it was part of that. Tax issue, all progressive reform. You understand? So there's just so much of things progressivism has done to this country. And they are just hiding away, languishing and wasting, and allow these failed policies to just run this country, two-party system, to run this country when we can open it up to so many values, so many ideologies, and so many belief systems that will help. If you don't, and I think the future American society should be one that you have to produce if you're a politician. That should be the standard we set for these people. If you're not producing out, you should be able to come out and tell people your policies in real time. You should have your website where people can go and grade your policies. If your platform does not represent progressivism, leftist, MAGA/MAGA values, we shouldn't vote for you. And if we do vote for you, you have to sign a contract saying that you will adhere to point A, point B, point C, point D. And if you're done, we can primary you out. We can call for early election and boot you out, just like how they do in England. We vote you of vote of no confidence or something like that. Just kick you out like that. That's how it's supposed to be. That's true democracy. If they start to do that in this country, I would adhere to the democratic principles, I would start to say democracy do exist. But until then, I never will believe that there's such thing as democracy. But yeah, these people need to be held accountable. And I don't think we should wait till 2028. We should start now. All these people that are not doing what they need to do, politicians, both parties, should be booted out. Because we shouldn't allow anyone mess with the future of our children. You understand? Or more or less this country. Because all the policies that they have been implementing has done nothing to serve your interests, but their interests and the agenda that they are working for. You understand? Again, the agenda they are working for. I don't want my video to be too long, but whenever I talk about this stuff, I just feel like just talking about it because it's easy to talk about it. It's easy, and it's annoying, and it's angering. It makes you angry. It makes you upset because you can see the reality, and you just hope that why you're saying to yourself, why can't others see it? It's that whole matrix thing going on all over. So at some point, I feel like we're living in a matrix. But I think technology we should use. And another thing I want to say again is MAGA slash progressivism slash or AKA leftism. I think they should utilize technology too to do a lot of how to say, like networking between each other. They can create apps. They can create a lot of network where they can do the thing under the radar. They can do grassroots thing. They don't have to come out because they're a movement. A movement can be secretive. You don't have to come out now, but you know when the time comes. You don't have to say we're going to put this person up. You don't have to announce no one. You can just keep it under the radar. When it's election time, you just introduce the candidate. Introduce the candidate that way. You don't have to even talk about, oh, we want Nancy to run, or we want John to run, or Peter, or Mike, or Luke. You don't have to. Just keep it anonymous. You understand? But within the grassroots, you know, you're communicating, you're coordinating under the radar. And then when it's election time, you just introduce the candidate. You know, your people already know who that person is. And I tell you, that person has to be charismatic too. You know, and I think anything is possible. Nothing is impossible, except if you don't want to do it. But if you want to do it, it's possible, my friends. So yeah, progressivism, I just kind of throw a little history on you, aka leftism, and MAGA. You know who you are. Your founding is deep in the history of this country, and the fact that you care more about this country, you love this country, you love the people of this country, you love this country so much that you're willing to take a tough stand. You know, even people who are leftists, they agree with some of the stands that you are willing to take because you love this country. You know, so it's a great thing for both of you to start to coordinate networking together to make sure that you take it back from these people. And if you want to learn more, you can learn more about what it means to be an American leftist, which is progressivism. Do your research on that, you know, and learn more about what it means to be an American leftist. I'm not talking about European leftist. I'm talking about American leftist, aka progressivism. So as I've always said in all of my videos, and we're saying now, the greatest thing that could ever happen, or that could ever happen to you, it's not the day you're born, not the day you had your first car, your first child, they graduated from high school, college, they became a lawyer, doctor, Whatever it is you're working on, my friends, the greatest thing, my friends, that could ever happen to you is the day you discover yourself. Because from that day on, my friends, everything, absolutely everything, will start to make sense to you, including doing your research, looking through all of the divisions that these people want you to think you're a fool. They think you're stuck in the past. They think you're not growing. They think you're stuck in a relationship with them. You would emancipate your mind. That's what Bob Marley says, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None of us can free our mind. I've no fear of atomic energy. None of them can stop at the time. How long shall they kill our prophet? Why we stand aside and look? Ooh, some say it's just a part of it. You don't want to be those that stand and say it's just a part of it. Just let it happen. Stop complaining. Do something. That's what I do. I'm not complaining. I'm just giving you a suggestion. And I'm going to keep talking about leftism. I'm going to keep talking about leftism because I know leftists are good people. I know. I've done enough research now to know what American leftism is. I know it's embedded in progressivism. That's the reason why when a natural disaster happened in this country, like fire, hurricane, weather-related disasters, the first people to do anything is the American people. It's embedded in the American spirit. So capitalize on that. America first. That's MAGA. It's a movement. Both of you are movement, and movement is a powerful tool. Even the Republican and Democrat Party, that's what they use. They use all these movements. They call it conservative movement, right-wing movement, left-wing movement. They use all these terms, and it's so divisive because at the end of the day, all of y'all are Americans. All of y'all are Americans, and that's what you see first. American, America. Not all of that left-wing, right-wing, left-wing, conservative, Democrat, liberal, conservative, Democrat, liberal, right-wing, left-wing, this. I don't even like to say right-wing. I like to just say MAGA. That's it. And leftist. That's it. Because MAGA is the right wing of them. Or right. I don't want to say right wing. Right of the Republican Party. And leftists are the children of progressivism, not liberal or Democrat Party. They're exclusive. They don't even mingle with them. But they hide in the party. And I tell them, come out, my friends. Be America. Be Americans. Don't hide, because you're good. You do a lot of good things. Most of your lawyers you see out there, most of them are that. They may not tell you. And there are some that are MAGA too. Connect, man. Have a blessed day. Thank you.